This is a music review. The album's name, Wolfgang Amadeus, by the band Phoeniz. It released in 2009. Now, before we get on to the review of that fourth album, a quick potted history of Phoeniz. They were conceived in the 90s by Thomas Mars, who's the vocalist, bassist Dick Darcy, and guitarist Chris Mazzolé. They were all friends at school, coming from Versailles, just outside Paris, and they played together as a garage band out of Mars's house in the suburbs of Paris. In '95, Laurent Brankovic, Massolé's older brother, permanently joined the band on guitar, and then they released their first album in 2000. It was called United, and it received positive reviews, to be fair. They followed that up in 2004 with Alphabetical, and that had much more success. And there's been an album since then, in 2007, It's Never Been Like That, was released, although that didn't do a great deal. But this fourth album, Wolfgang Amadeus, really caught the eye, possibly because of the title being a reference to Mozart, the classical composer. But certainly this band, French sort of band, pop synth is pop rock is how we would describe them. This is my review of that album, although it has to be said that I really got an eye for this band with the release of Bankrupt in 2011, which is an absolutely gem of an album. So I've gone back a little bit to Amadeus to try and get some better perspective on why Bankrupt appealed so much to me. So we're going to go through it track by track. The first track on the album is called Listermania, and yes, it's synthesized pop rock, very much a musical comedy style. And if any of you will recall the movie starring Roger Daltrey about the life of Franz Liszt, you will recall that within that movie there are lots of sexual fallacies around. It was all rather tongue-in-cheek and very much symptomatic of the period of time, the liberal attitude towards sexuality. And there's a huge dildo in that movie which offers an opportunity for some young girls, scantily clad, to ride on it. So this track owes a nod to that, and it's full of naughtiness. It's up-tempo, high-spirited sort of madness, and Thomas Mars' excitable vocals are the key to this synthesized music, epitomising energy. Lyrically, well, it dabbles with romanticism, 19th century French style romanticism, first loves without lust, and of course that probably reflects the fact that the band grew up in Versailles, a city which represents very much history for the French Republic. To track 2 then, 1901, which continues the fast, zippy pace as the chord riff loads up the punchy rhythm and those keyboards stabbing knife-like on your ears. It's a frenzy for certain, as it splashes about, shaking the listener up and down. Lyrically, Mars describes this track as being about Paris at the turn of the 20th century, and it describes a love that comes to an end in 1901. The Eiffel Tower was built in 1889, and the Exposition University was finished in 1900. Mars has said that the time of the explosion university was a most futuristic moment for Paris, with lots of sci-fi tales, and who can forget the novel by Jules Verne. So that's track 2. Next up is Fences. Slows the pace a little, a sleazy rhythm that still has a bit of a zip to it, and Mars' vocals soar majestically, the high-pitched harmonies matching with the drum sampling neatly. And just as you start to tire of the beat, it starts up again, and it's real fun. Lyrics, yeah, well, you tell me. I'm not quite sure about this one. Anyway, something real and perceived, obstacles real or perceived on either a personal level, via a relationship, or maybe within society, the government. These are all blocking the possibilities to be creative and live your lives. Track 4 is Love Like a Sunset. This is mainly an instrumental track. Gentle piano starts us off, and then a sort of foghorn-like noise is meshed in to the maze of marvellous sounds that greet this 7-minute highlight. The sound builds slowly, and the throbbing keyboards immerse the listener in the crescendo of electronic wizardry. It finally links into a spacey rhythm that hops and skips. It's an extravagant piece of European music, reminiscent in kind, really, to 70s German rock music, and maybe a nod to what was going on in Holland as well with Focus, although it is much more modern feel than that, and more synthesizers, of course. And the last couple of minutes meander into a series of classically inspired harmony-rich vocals. Sounds very Lennonish at one point, I felt. It's maybe a nod to Abbey Road. Lasso is up next. More gusto here, but it's truly a happy piece of music. There's a nice mid-section with delicate lead work, which breaks the high-tempo rhythm. Lyrically, well, what does a lasso do? It catches things, notably horses, although the metaphor here is things of beauty to use as playthings, gifts. I think the song is a metaphor for people who feel the need to go in search of pastures new and get held back. The grass is often greener on the other side, and the message is to step back and take a good look at where you're jumping into. Is it reality, or is it merely just fantasy? Rome follows, a repetitive feel here by track 6, although I still like the shimmering, shuddering riff. The quiet interludes are a welcome pause as the tempo builds again, and the explosive finale is a sound impressive. A bit glam rockish, I felt. The lyrics, well, they're renowned for passionate love affairs in Rome, and I think that's what this song reflects on, possibly with an old flame that reignites you for the girl, which isn't that popular with your current beau. Some comment that the relationship dies, a bit like the Roman Empire. The track Countdown has a hint to Beach Boys with the opening melody and harmony before accelerating into a fast-paced rocker with those infamous interludes that enable the oscillating highs and lows to punch the air, reflective of what Phoenix are all about. I love the chorus and the rush of the bass and drums. The song floats upon a foot-tapping bass and rhythm guitar beat. It's exhilarating, especially with headphones on. Lyrically, is it reminding us all as we age to keep the fire lit, stay optimistic and less lolling about in the past, maybe? To the next track, Girlfriend, catchy organ riff here, and that snug beat and the lyrics knit neatly into the melody. There's a really nice hook in this song, in the chorus, and it's very, very catchy. Lyrically, I'm not sure. Final plea to a loved one to reciprocate or allow oneself to die and move forward, fleeing, so to speak. Armistice is the final track. It's another French historical piece, I guess. Poignant dates with regard to the armistice, and I'll come to that in a minute. The string chords back, and it's a highlight as the intricate loops between guitars and keyboards continue to reflect this collection of songs. I just wish the solos lasted a tack longer, really, as they're sort of over and done too quickly, and then we're on to the next song. But nevertheless, a strong selection of songs on this fourth album by Phoeniz. Lyrically, Armistice, well, it was an agreement about the course of a relationship, a ceasefire, effectively, slowed down maybe as symbolised by a propeller plane rather than a jet. That's the metaphor, I think, with regard to Armistice being a reflection on a relationship rather than something more macro. And the slowing down could avoid the inevitable breakup if the pace continued at that as it was. As a set, anyway, let's conclude. There's a lovely collection of love anecdotes here, and a tinge of French nostalgia that really makes it very, very French sounding. A nod to Listermania and Amadeus, of course, for the collective creative impetus, which is surely something that we should adhere to. So a nice collection. I don't think it's quite as good as the next album, Bankrupt, and I will review that shortly. But that's Wolfgang Amadeus by Phoeniz, released in 2009.